I really don't care what happens to her at all. I don't care. Like everybody they tiptoe around with this social media, but what y'all don't get is that it be real consequence for y'all little flexes, y'all quick flexes for $300 that you need. It be consequence.
It started as a low whisper, one of those behind-the-scenes things people only talk about in hushed tones, something you wouldn't expect to come from people who used to be close, or at least trying to coexist. But by the time the court papers were filed, it was no longer a whisper. It was a storm. Iman Shumpert, the calm, collected father and ex-husband everyone praised for his maturity, had done something nobody saw coming. He went to court and filed a restraining order. And not just against anyone, but against Aaron, the man who came into Tayana's life after the breakup. A man who, for a long time, tried to blend in and stay unproblematic. But behind the scenes, things weren't so quiet. Iman didn't speak much publicly about Aaron. He never clowned him online. He didn't throw shade in interviews. If anything, he seemed distant, unbothered. Focused on his daughter, on his career, on rebuilding his own peace. But silence doesn't always mean peace. Sometimes it's just restraint. And when that restraint breaks, what comes after it is something a lot more dangerous. Aaron, for months, had been walking a thin line. After Tayana's split from Iman, things moved quickly between her and Aaron. Too quickly for some people's comfort. One minute, she was posting healing quotes and spending time with her daughter. The next, Aaron was in her photos, in her comments, at her events. Some called it love. Others called it a distraction.
But Iman?
He kept his head down and watched. Then came the strange behaviors. Aaron started showing up to places where Iman would be with his daughter. And not just casually. It was always a little too convenient. A charity event at the school. Aaron pulled up, even though he had no direct connection. A basketball clinic Iman was coaching, Aaron came by just to support. At first, it felt like coincidence. But coincidences don't happen that often. Iman noticed, and so did others. It got weirder. Sources close to Iman said he received messages from mutual acquaintances. Nothing directly threatening, just off. Vague phrases like, "You can't be the only one in her life," or "He's not gonna back down just because you show up." Nobody said who those messages were from.
But the tone?
Unmistakable. It was the kind of thing that leaves your stomach in knots even when the words seem harmless on the surface. And then there were the sightings. One night, Iman came home late from a recording session. He lives in a gated property with security. He's careful. But when he pulled in, he saw a car parked just outside the gates. The engine was off. The windows tinted. The car didn't move. Iman sat there in his car, watching it. After about 15 minutes, the car slowly pulled off. When he asked security about it the next day, they said no one had signed in. No one they recognized. But when fans dug up old paparazzi pictures later, some claimed the car looked exactly like one Aaron had been seen driving in LA. Still, Iman didn't say anything. He didn't post about it. He didn't start drama. But he began documenting everything. Keeping notes. Saving clips. He wasn't going to speak until the moment it involved his daughter. It was a school afternoon, sunny and normal. Nothing out of place until his daughter casually told her teacher, Mr. Aaron was outside again. The teacher paused, asked what she meant. She said, "He's always by the gate. He waves sometimes." That's when alarms went off. The school contacted Tayana. Tayana called Iman.
And Iman?
He was done. According to insiders, that was the moment Iman called his lawyer. Not for revenge. Not to cause drama. But to protect his child. Because this wasn't just about a man trying to stay relevant. It was about someone showing up where they weren't welcome, making people uncomfortable, and refusing to take no for an answer. The legal documents were filed discreetly at first. A request for a restraining order, citing repeated unsolicited appearances, messages, and behavior that made Iman fear for the safety and emotional well-being of his daughter and himself. But court filings are public, and it didn't take long for the press to catch on. The headlines came fast. Iman Shumpert seeks restraining order against Aaron. Weird behavior raises alarm in Tayana Taylor Triangle. And the blogs? They were eating it up. especially when bits of the legal filing leaked. One section reportedly read, "Mr. Pierre's persistent and uninvited presence at events involving my minor child, as well as his indirect communication through third parties, has created an unsafe and unpredictable environment." Aaron's team moved quickly. Within hours of the news breaking, a short statement appeared on his Instagram story. White text, black background, simple, cold. "I am not a threat to anyone. This will be handled legally, not publicly. Enough lies." He didn't tag anyone, didn't elaborate.
But the tone?
Defensive. And fans didn't buy it. Because around the same time, screenshots started surfacing. Alleged messages from Aaron to a friend. One read, "He thinks he's the only one who matters? I'm not going anywhere." Another said, "She can pretend all she wants, but I'm not done." No one could prove if the messages were real, but the timing couldn't have been worse. The public turned.
Fast.
People who once supported Aaron, who loved him as an actor or backed his relationship with Teyana, suddenly went silent. Or worse, they spoke out. Some former colleagues quietly unfollowed him. A film deal he was rumored to be attached to quietly dropped. No official word.
Just gone.
Teyana, who had been completely silent throughout most of the situation, finally reacted in her own way. She didn't speak directly. But one morning, she posted a picture of her daughter and Iman walking hand in hand, captioned simply, "Safety first. Always." The message was loud without needing to scream. People got it. And what came next was even louder. According to someone close to Teyana, she had tried, for weeks, to reason with Aaron before all of this exploded. She reportedly told him to pull back, to focus on his own life, to respect boundaries. But he didn't. And when she stopped responding altogether, that's when the behavior started escalating. She never thought it would come to court filings.
But now?
She was supporting Iman's decision completely. The court date was set. Quietly, no media allowed. But people waited. Fans, blogs, even mutual friends. Everyone was curious. Would Aaron show up? Would he deny everything face to face? When the day came, Aaron did appear. But not with the bravado some expected.
No sunglasses. No smirk.
Just a suit, a stiff posture, and silence. Iman showed up too, calm but alert, like a man doing something he didn't want to do, but had to.
They didn't speak.
Didn't even look at each other. Teyana wasn't present, but her absence was loud. What happened inside the courtroom was sealed. But sources say the judge granted a temporary protective order, restricting Aaron from any physical proximity to Iman or his daughter for the next 90 days, pending further review. It wasn't a guilty verdict, but it was a warning. After court, Iman didn't post. He went back to his routine, his daughter, his studio. Aaron, however, released a second statement, this time longer. "I never intended to make anyone feel unsafe. My actions have been misinterpreted and taken out of context. I will continue to respect the process and clear my name legally." But fans were done listening. There was a time when people used to say, "Aaron just loves hard." It was a phrase thrown around casually, as if intensity and passion were always noble things. As if the depth of feeling was enough to excuse everything that came with it. But now, the very same people were shifting uncomfortably in their seats, rethinking what they once accepted. Because with time, and with the truth laid bare, came the realization that there's a thin, dangerous line between love and obsession, between genuine care and quiet control. And somewhere along the way, Aaron had crossed it. In the beginning, it was easy to ignore. The long captions that sounded more like warnings than affection. The constant need to be visible, to be part of her story, whether he belonged there or not. Whenever Teyana posted something with Iman, even casually, Aaron would post her within minutes. A throwback, a memory, a quote. It didn't feel romantic anymore. It felt like surveillance, like a reminder. People used to call it love. Now they were calling it what it truly was, possessiveness masked as passion. After things reached a breaking point, people started looking back. The signs were always there, some said. In hindsight, the red flags looked painfully obvious. His constant presence at events where he hadn't been invited. The controlling tone in private conversations that somehow leaked into public moments. The way he always seemed to hover near her orbit, even when she clearly wanted space. It was never just love. It was dominance. Control. Insecurity dressed up as devotion. Tayana, meanwhile, found herself turning to the one thing that had always given her clarity: music. Late one night, she went live from a dimly lit studio.
No preamble, no explanation.
Just a beat playing softly in the background, and her voice cutting through the silence. She sang only one verse, raw and unreleased. It wasn't a door you knocked on, it was one you kicked open wide. Now I've gotta lock it up tight, 'cause peace don't come with pride. She didn't name names.
She didn't need to.
Everyone watching understood. The pain was fresh. The message was clear. This wasn't a cryptic lyric. It was a declaration, a quiet reclaiming of boundaries. Since the court order, the world has gone quiet around Aaron.
No appearances. No surprise cameos.
No desperate social media posts tying himself to Tayana's name. It's like he vanished. Some say he's lying low, hoping the storm will pass. Others believe he's planning something, maybe a legal response, or a tell-all to shift the narrative. But whatever his next move is, it won't change the past. Because once someone makes a parent feel like their child is unsafe, trust evaporates. And once legal protection becomes necessary just to breathe, the relationship is no longer just strained. It's shattered. And no apology, no gesture, no explanation can fully undo that fracture. In this case, the silence speaks volumes, louder than the chaos that came before it. And perhaps, finally, it's being heard. Tayana is focused on rebuilding, on healing, on keeping her daughter away from chaos. Iman? He's just trying to be the father his child can trust. And Aaron? He may have thought he was playing a game, but this isn't a game anymore. This is real life. And in real life, boundaries matter, especially when they're drawn in court.